I've developed a bit of a new obsession. It is with these super cubes. Now, I've had my super cubes for quite a lot of years now. I've used them off and on, but I found myself using them more and more and more and discovering just how versatile they were. And because I work from home, being able to have single servings for my lunches has been a game changer. I actually went and ordered a bunch more super cubes. So I ordered them in the original colors that I had, the little confetti, and then I ordered these navy ones that I also liked. They have other colors too. And no, this is not a commercial for super cubes. I do not work for them. However, you can find a link to super cubes down in the description below. I'm going to be showing you so many things that you can do with these. We are going to get started today. We're going to fill my freezer with cubes of deliciousness, and I'm even going to show you that you don't have to do everything all at once. You don't have to do like a huge marathon day where you make all the meals. You can do it in dribs and drabs when you've got time, and that's exactly what I'm doing because I've already gotten started. And today we're going to add to that, and we're going to continue to add to the stash. They're kind of like Lego bricks, but food. This is revolutionary, I'm telling you. I'm going to blow your mind with what is possible. But anyway, as I've got time, I'm gonna add to these even more. And by the end, I'm gonna have a month or maybe 2 months worth of lunches in my freezer ready to go to make things super easy. So when I said I had already started, what I meant is that I've got some in my freezer, and we're gonna transfer those out of the super cubes because this guy's buddies are currently being held hostage in my freezer, and we're gonna get them into freezer bags. But before we do that, we're gonna get some water started on the stove. We're gonna turn the oven on to roast some carrots for the next plans that I've got. So these are the super cubes that were in my freezer. They are full of spicy dill pickle soup, which is one of my favorite soups. I am going to share with you how to make it. I did take video from the day I made it, so I'm going to be showing you that today, but I'm also going to pop these out of their cozy little home and get these into a freezer bag, or actually it looks like it will be several freezer bags, so that I can wash these up. Did you know they're dishwasher safe? I know, I sound like a commercial, but seriously, these are dishwasher safe and oven safe. So today we're also going to be baking something in these, which is, again, mind blown, right? So now I have secured 12 days of spicy dill pickle soup for my lunches. I also keep grilled cheese in the freezer, all ready to just cook up in a skillet, so I can have grilled cheese and soup whenever I like. I kind of forgot when I first started popping these out of the cubes that it's actually quite challenging if you try to pop them out from one corner first. They kind of get wedged in there, so the key is to pop them out from both sides at the same time. If you do it equally, then they actually do come out really easily. If you're watching me struggle in that little clip, there's an easier way. I just forgot. Now that I figured that out, we've got our 12 days of spicy dill pickle soup. We're gonna get our macaroni noodles put in. For our mac and cheese, but here is the important part. We actually need to undercook those noodles. If we don't want this to get mushy when we heat it in the oven, because we're gonna bake it right in those super cubes, and even more importantly, if we don't want it to get even mushier when we reheat it on the day that we go to make this, because once this is baked and we freeze it in the super cubes and then I pop those out, this is just a quick like microwave reheat, and I will have like comfort food mac and cheese any day of the week. But if we don't undercook that pasta, then we are going to end up with mushy noodles. Nobody wants that. So I set the timer for 2 minutes less than what the package directions called for. And this is gonna give me about exactly enough time to tell you about this spicy dill pickle soup. So on the day I made this, I actually had a bit of help. My middle daughter is in culinary school. She's in her first year of culinary school, loving it, super passionate about it. And she asked me if she could use the potatoes that I had in the fridge to practice doing turned potatoes. I'm not even gonna pretend to know what that means, but I said yes because I'm a mom that wants to help her do well. So my only caveat for that was that I didn't want her to throw the potatoes out. I wanted to use them for my dill pickle soup. So she gave me a head start on this, but that's why you'll see that these potatoes have a bit of an odd shape to them. I also used the little bits that she cut off of the turned potatoes, so you'll see all kinds of shapes in there. So what we did for this is we combined some chicken broth, those turned potatoes, some peeled and chopped carrots, and some butter in a large pot. I did double this recipe, so it's a pretty large amount. Brought that to a boil and then reduced that to a simmer. Cooked until the potatoes are tender, and then you're gonna add a cup of dill pickles that are chopped or whole, because really this is gonna go through an immersion blender, so it doesn't matter, and you're gonna continue to simmer it. Then in a shaker, you're gonna mix some water and flour together, stir that into the pot. This is gonna help thicken the soup, and then you're gonna slowly add in some sour cream while you stir. Then comes some more goodness, the pickle juice and seasonings. We've got Cajun seasoning, fresh dill, dry mustard powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, cayenne pepper, salt, and pepper. Once that was all really mixed, I ran an immersion blender through there, and once it was smooth, I added in some more diced dill pickles because those add a really nice crunch. Once it was cooled, I divided it into my super cubes, and today you saw what they look like once they're fully frozen and they're ready to go. I do also want to mention that I got the fresh dill from my beautiful little arrow garden back there. I had put it away for about 1.5 years. I've taken it out in the last few months and I am loving it. As a matter of fact, right now I have little tiny little baby tomatoes and they are so cute. They don't taste as good as they look, but I'm still really proud of myself for actually growing something that lived. Pasta is already ready, so I'm gonna go strain it and be right back. I'm gonna get started on the next recipe before we make the sauce for the mac and cheese. So I'm just gonna drizzle some olive oil and sprinkle some salt on these carrots to get them in the oven to roast. So we're just gonna put this in the oven. That is for the most amazing carrot, orange, and brie soup. Yes, I said carrot, orange, and brie. Like, are you drooling yet? It is so delicious. The flavors do not disappoint. We're gonna get our mac and cheese started on the stove top so that we can get it into our super cubes to bake. It's gonna be perfect timing because when our carrots are done roasting, then our mac and cheese will be ready to take their place in the oven. It's time to take our roasted carrots out of the oven. My macaroni and cheese sauce is not fully done because we had a little bit of a kitchen incident. I was attempting to reach the smoked paprika, which someone had replaced on the very tippy top shelf of my spice cupboard. My spice cupboard is quite an ordeal. I have a lot of spices. May have a wee bit of a problem with things other than just collecting super cubes apparently, and that is collecting spices. So I had to climb up on the counter to try to reach the smoked paprika, and something fell in the spice cupboard. It hit something else and onto the counter, my jar of chili flakes that I love because I use chili flakes at almost every meal. it shattered on the counter, and I was a little bit sad, I have to tell you, as I've had that spice shaker for a lot of years, and I was sad to see it go. It kind of got comical after that because I was trying to, I took a little dustpan and I was trying to sweep up the glass shards on the counter, as well as all of the chili flakes that were all intermingled with the glass shards. And then the chili flakes went up my nose and I started sneezing like crazy. And so then I'm sneezing and I'm laughing because I'm sneezing, and I feel like crying because my spice shaker is broken, and then I feel silly for feeling like crying about a spice shaker, which probably isn't really about a spice shaker. And then I'm laughing and almost crying and sneezing, and it was like I was wishing that the cameras were turned on for that moment because it was kind of funny. So we're back on track-ish. I'm gonna pull these out of the oven. And ooh, have to stop and give my cheese sauce a stir. Okay. These roasted carrots are a thing of beauty. They smell good too. Roasting them just gives them more sweetness and that caramelization, and it's gonna give the soup even more flavor. I cannot continue without mentioning my new oven mitts. Those of you who've been around the channel a while know that my oven mitts are like 20 years old and have seen better days. In fact, once one of them caught on fire, and you can see evidence of that still. So I recently replaced my old oven mitts, tried and true, and I loved those babies, but it was time. So here are debuting my new oven mitts. So what I've done so far is melted some butter, stirred in some flour, and then after a few minutes, I started adding my seasonings. I added some salt, some dry mustard powder, some smoked paprika, and some pepper. Let that cook up in the flour and butter roux. And then I started to stir in my milk ever so slowly, perhaps a little bit too slowly because this sauce seems to be taking forever. And now I'm just stirring it while it thickens, and then we're gonna pour in our cheese. Now, the trick to delicious mac and cheese, in my opinion, is to use multiple kinds of cheese. So I have a few combinations that I like best. This time I'm going with a jalapeno jack cheese and an aged white cheddar. This is a great combination, especially because I love things that are spicy. Another one that I love is to combine an applewood smoked cheddar and either regular cheddar or a milder cheese like Fontina. Anyway, you could get me talking all day when it comes to cheese, and we've got Brie coming up in that carrot soup. So today we maybe have a bit of a cheese theme accidentally happening, but I'm gonna get that cheese stirred in as soon as this is thickened enough. Mac and cheese ready to portion into super cubes, but I forgot a step. So on our carrots, I'm supposed to throw some garlic cloves and chopped onion and give that a stir and put it back in to roast for just 5 minutes. So I'll do that while we portion out the mac and cheese. You know how earlier I was saying that the key to amazing homemade mac and cheese is using multiple kinds of cheeses? I still stand by that. And if you have cheese combinations that you swear by, I would love it if you put them in the comments below, because I'm always looking for new ideas and I'm always looking for good cheese combinations. But Even though what I said is true, there is another key to good homemade mac and cheese, in my opinion. And that is that what you want to do is you want to put half of your mac and cheese down, and then you want to sprinkle some more cheese, and then the other half, and then top it with even more cheese. So basically, more cheese is the key, in my opinion, to the best homemade mac and cheese. So I hadn't noticed this until just now, but because the super cubes are labeled with the half a cup and then 1 cup portion inside there, that means that I know exactly where the halfway point is. So that's when I can put my layer of shredded cheese right there. Okay. And then I can do the other half. Now, of course, it's going to be faster if I fill all of them to the halfway point and then sprinkle them with cheese, and then all of them to the top and sprinkle again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We've got our super cubes in the oven with the mac and cheese, and our beautiful roasted carrots are ready for us to start the soup. Our mac and cheese is out of the oven and they look bubbly and amazing. I'm gonna be honest and tell you that I'm gonna eat one today. They're not all gonna make it into the freezer, but I am gonna allow them to cool before I put them in the freezer. And once they are fully frozen, then I'll pop them out just like you saw me do with the dill pickle soup cubes and put them in a freezer bag so they will be ready for individual lunches. The reason that you want to wait until things are fully cooled before you put them in the freezer is if I was to put the lids on these right now and put them in the freezer, there would be condensation that would form on the inside of this lid, and that can lead to freezer burn. So that is a big no-no with freezer cooking. We always wait until things are fully cool before we get them in the freezer. The same is true for our roasted carrot, orange, and brie soup. So I am going to make this right now on the stovetop, but I'm not going to transfer it into super cubes and get it in the freezer until tomorrow. So in a large stovetop pot, we're going to add those roasted carrots, onions, and garlic. Then we're going to pour in some chicken broth and thyme. We're going to simmer that for a bit. Then we're going to run an immersion blender through it until it's completely smooth. Then we're going to add our brie. We are going to take the rind off the brie first. My trick for that is that you want to actually put your brie into the freezer just for a few minutes to make it easier to slice the rind off. And then we're going to stir in the brie, some orange juice, and some heavy cream. And we're going to stir it just until the brie is melted. We're going to add some pepper, and then we're going to put that in the fridge overnight. And then when it's fully cool, we're going to scoop it into our super cubes and get it into the freezer. The super cube filling marathon continues. This morning, I took the super cubes that were in the freezer full of carrot, orange, and brie soup and that delicious mac and cheese out of the freezer and popped those out and got them into freezer bags. And then I ran a few of those through my dishwasher to free up some of the super cubes because I think we might be needing those. And now we are back making more meals. right now we are making a spicy Arrabbiata sauce. And I learned something the other day when we were making the carrot, orange, and brie soup, and I thought it was so funny because I was running the immersion blender through it. It's taking me a little while, and I was like doing it like this, where I put it right down to the bottom, and then I would lift it up and put it down to the bottom, just flat. And I asked my daughter, the one who's in culinary school, if she would mind holding the immersion blender for me and pushing the button while I ran to the other room to grab something. She's like, yeah, sure, no problem. I got back and she was not in the kitchen anymore. And I was like, hey, like what's happening with the soup? She's like, it's done. I was like, well, what do you mean it's done? Because it was taking me so long. She's like, you're doing it wrong. You have to hold the immersion blender on an angle so that it can get everything and like so that things will flow. So apparently my whole life, well, the last 10 years or so since I started using immersion blenders, I've been using them wrong. It's very handy having a daughter in culinary school. So in my bowl, I've got 2 cans of San Marzano tomatoes, and they also have basil in them. I prefer them actually without basil because we're adding our own basil. Beautiful, beautiful fresh basil from my herb garden that I am so in love with. And oh, it just smells really good. So since we're adding that, I didn't need it in here, but this was the only way I could find these. Oftentimes my grocery store has them with or without, this time only with. So we're gonna run our immersion blender through here properly this time. And we don't wanna completely puree these. I just want to get them so they're no longer whole tomatoes. When I make these as a large family size freezer meal, I put everything right into the bag. I dump everything in the bag. I don't dirty a bowl. And then I squish the tomatoes through the bag just to separate them and make them so they're no longer so large. This time, because we're not doing that, you know, we're putting them in super cubes and I can't squish them through there, I'm just gonna give it a bit of a blend. This does in fact work in a fraction of the time. Into here we're going to add some minced onion. Normally I add it diced, but I want this to cook up faster than usual because I'm doing individual portions. So I did minced today. Then I'm going to add in some minced garlic. I'm just using it from a jar so that it's already minced. And we're going to use the same spoon to stir it for less dishes. We're going to add in some red wine. If you ever have leftover wine, red or white, a really great thing to do is freeze it in small super cubes or an ice cube tray, and then when it's frozen you can pop it out and put it in a freezer bag. And the red wine goes really well in pasta sauces, it goes so well in chili or beef dishes, and then white wine goes well in seafood dishes, in white or creamy pasta sauces, just so many, really, really good. We have a pesto minestrone that calls for white wine, so you can still get use out of that wine. No need to throw it away. I know, and whenever I say that, people are like, what's leftover wine? Ha ha ha. But anyway, I often have leftover wine. We never finish well, I can't say never, but we usually don't finish a bottle unless we have a lot of people over. So this one is leftover from probably a few months ago, but it still should be good in our pasta sauce here. It has been kept sealed. Then we're gonna add in some tomato paste, a little bit of sugar to cut the acidity of the tomatoes, that gorgeous fresh basil, a splash of lemon juice, some red pepper flakes. Now with the red pepper and with the cayenne, which we're gonna add next, you choose how spicy you want this. So if you want things really spicy, then you can go ahead and add a lot. If you like things a little bit milder, then you don't need to stay true to the whole spicy Arrabbiata sauce thing. You can make this to your taste. I like things spicy, so I went a little heavy on the cayenne. Then some Italian seasoning. Pepper and parsley. Now I did double the recipe because I do want to have the option to eat this quite often. It's going to be great because then I can just cook up my pasta sauce fresh and have this homemade sauce ready to go. If you prefer, you could actually cook up some pasta right now. You would want to undercook it slightly, a minute or two under what the package directions tell you to, and then you could drain it and you could mix your pasta in with the sauce and then have your entire meal ready to go and put in the super cubes. But I prefer to, especially when it comes to pasta, I just love to get the texture right, so I prefer to cook my pasta up the day of. Also, sometimes I have some leftover plain pasta from the night before and I can just use the extra sauce on there. So I just prefer the versatility myself of having this sauce. Okay, that looks really good. We're gonna spoon that into our super cubes. Since we're doing the 1 cup super cubes, I find that it actually works really well to use a 1 cup measuring spoon. I'm just going to use the one that I used for the wine and then spoon that in that way. So we've got 8 cups of our spicy Arrabbiata sauce all ready to go. I'm really glad I doubled the recipe because otherwise I would have only ended up with 4 lunches of that. There is one more thing that I want to get into super cubes for this session, but before I do that, I do want to tell you about the white chicken chili that is already in super cubes because you're gonna see it, and in case you're wondering how to make it, it actually came from one of our live monthly cooking classes. In the Freezer Meals 101 Club, we do a class every month where we walk members through a meal plan. So we've already chosen the recipes, given everyone their shopping list, their prep list, and printable labels. Some people in the club prefer to create their own meal plans, and it's really, really easy to create your own custom meal plan with your shopping list, your prep list, your labels, all of that. Some people prefer if we even take the decisions out for them so that they don't even have to think about what recipes to choose. And for that, the live cooking classes are perfect. But the other thing we do in those classes is we show you how to do it for a larger family size, like a family of 4 to 6, or how to do it if you're cooking for 1 or 2. And so when we portion things out for 1 or 2, we'll show you if sometimes it's better to entirely cook the meal first and then portion it out, or if it's better to put the ingredients in raw. Sometimes it works best in quart-sized bags or in foil trays that can go directly in the oven. Sometimes we use microwave safe containers that are also dishwasher safe and freezer safe, and other times we use super cubes. So it does depend a bit on the recipe and it depends on your circumstances. But at one of our live cooking classes, we did the white chicken chili and mixed it together in our pot, and then I portioned it out when it was cooked into our super cubes. So for that recipe, you can find the link in the description below, but I'm just gonna quickly walk through it. So you've got your chicken breasts that are already cooked and cubed, so that makes it a super easy reheat. Then you're gonna add some diced onion, minced garlic, taco seasoning, cumin, paprika, some salsa verde, some green chilies just from a can, diced tomatoes, chicken broth, white kidney beans that have been rinsed and drained, and some lime juice. All really great flavors, and that is another one of the meals that we now have in the freezer ready to go. We also have my husband's low carb chili that includes ground beef and bacon. He also, I believe, has onions and green pepper in there and lots of spices and seasonings. So I just took the leftovers of that when he and the kids were done eating it for a few days and were on the verge of getting sick of it, and put those in super cubes so that then they will be fresh and exciting when they feel like having them another time. And that is similar to the idea that I'm going to do next, which is a few days ago, we made the most delicious Chipotle chicken in the slow cooker. It's amazing. I just took the freezer meal out of the freezer, so it's the raw chicken and all the goodness, all the spicy goodness that was in the bag, and dumped that into the slow cooker and made our Chipotle chicken. It's spicy, it's like smoky, it's so delicious. The first night we had it when it was like fresh out of the slow cooker. We had it on rice with diced avocado and cilantro. And it needs nothing else. You don't have to add hot sauce or anything because this has got enough kick on its own. And then yesterday, so I guess it was 2 nights ago that I cooked it in the slow cooker. Yesterday, we had a taco bar after church with the kids. And then they had, well, I guess we all, because I participated too, had just played board games and hung out here we just, love those lazy Sundays. And for the taco bar, I did use our cauliflower tacos that are another freezer meal and amazing, and I cooked those in the air fryer. I cooked up some ground beef taco meat, really easy. I also had our street chicken tacos from, again, a freezer meal, pulled that out and cooked them in the oven. Those are a great barbecue one, but it's not really barbecue season here right now. So I just cooked those in the oven and diced that up. But then I remembered that I had this Chipotle chicken in the fridge. So I put this out on the taco bar to offer another chicken option. The street chicken tacos are not especially spicy, so these are a very different flavor than those, and those are also not don't have that smoky flavor to them. So I offered this as another option. So we had this yesterday, and I don't want to have it a third day. As delicious as it is, I'm done with the Chipotle chicken for now. Now, if it sat in my fridge in the leftover container, let's face it, a week from now, I would be dumping this in the garbage and I'd be washing out the container. But because I'm putting it in super cubes and it's already fully cooked, and they're probably not fully 1 cup portions, they're more like between 3/4 of a cup and 1 cup. But I've now got 3 portions in here. I'm gonna get these in the freezer, and then these, because they're pre-cooked, I can make another rice bowl for a lunch where I can add that diced avocado and cilantro. Or I can thaw this and have it on top of nachos, which sounds like pretty amazing. I have them for another taco bar. I can, whatever. Anyone in my family can heat themselves up this Chipotle chicken for any time. It's also good in wraps, and one of my daughters actually did use the leftovers of this to make herself a wrap the other day. So having this in my freezer is going to actually save it from going into the garbage. And I love having less waste. We've got 11 more meals to go into the freezer. When these are frozen, I'm going to transfer them again into our freezer bags. We want to make sure to get out as much air as we can, as always. And then every time you take a cube out, you again want to get air out of your bag. have so much variety now. I've got soups, I've got sauces, I've got fully cooked meat, I've got 2 different kinds of chili, I've got mac and cheese. My lunches are taken care of for at least the next month, probably the next 2 months if I'm honest. And I happen to have a freezer full of some air fryer things because I recently got an air fryer. I'm gonna pop a video right up there where I made all of those freezer to air fryer meals, but a lot of those were things for lunches, quesadillas and taquitos. So I am set for lunches for a while, which makes me pretty darn happy. I also have some other ideas of things that I would also like to try in Super Cubes once my stash goes down and I've got a little bit more room to make some more recipes. So tune in because this will definitely not be my last Super Cubes video. I am going to pop a video right over there of some other Super Cube recipes you can do, including a meatloaf that you can cook directly in your Super Cubes. I hope that this video helped give you some ideas of some exciting new meals for 1 or 2, and that it helped you see how versatile Super Cubes can be. Thanks so much for being here and happy cooking.